My homeowner's insurance was canceled, and how I got it reinstated, and maybe you can too. I was not necessarily surprised that our homeowner's insurance was not being renewed. Many of the homes in the Granite Bay community have received non-renewal letters because we're right on the ragged edge of a high fire wildfire danger zone, lots of oak trees, there's some big open space because of Folsom Lake. So, it's only kind of a matter of time before, maybe we got that notice, but you really don't want it. And all of a sudden it hits you and it's like, oh gosh, what am I going to do now? And so once we did receive that notice dated November 7th, the condition of the property was such that there were trees and branches overhanging and touching the house, and that's why they had to non-renew the homeowner's insurance. We started looking for ways to, hey, can we flip this back? Can we get other insurance? So that's what we did. We started getting quotes on homeowner's insurance. And one of the things we did learn is that you need to contact the insurance company and find out what's going on. You need to request the reason for the non-renewal and ask for the notes and the images, because what happens if they have the wrong property address? Or maybe there's a condition they're seeing but you've already corrected. So that's step one, is getting those notes and images that the underwriter used to determine that they would not renew the homeowner's insurance. And technically it really is non-renewal as opposed to a cancellation, because it's when the term is set to expire that they have decided not to renew the homeowner's insurance. And in California, a lot of the insurers are kind of looking at all of this because of climate change and the wildfire danger. They are kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to, looking at all the properties, their exposure to risk of wildfires, and trying to be proactive. So I did send, an email, requesting, hey, can we get the reasons for the non-renewal? And they did send me a risk engineering residential inspection report. So that was nice. We could see what was going on. And when I did receive that PDF, I noticed right away, yeah, that's my home. They got the right address. And notice on here that it is Friday, June 28th, 2024. So this may have been a drone, or it may have just been a satellite image, because that's what a lot of the satellite companies are doing, are offering high resolution images to insurance companies, and that's how they make their money. So it was within the date range. It wasn't like an image that was like 5 years old. It was relatively recent, and it did obviously have the correct address, because I've seen my home on Google Earth and that is my home. When I go down, and what I've done here, the particular photos that they sent me did not have the red circles. I noted those as the trees that they were referring to on the different corners, edges of the property, in the front yard of the house, not the backyard, because actually we've had a tree fall down last year or the year before, had to take that out. And I've also been proactive in taking out oak trees. Unfortunately, I've had to cut down several of them that were overhanging power lines. So even though I was doing my due diligence to keep my property safe, they didn't look at it that way. They were only concerned about the trees that were potentially touching my house and may cause a risk. And one of the things you need to request when you are requesting that risk report is, where do I send proof that I have potentially corrected the issues that led to the non-renewal? And they did tell me, this was through Liberty Mutual, what they wanted to see in terms of acceptable proof regarding the conditions that have been mitigated or removed, and contractors' invoices and whatnot that we needed to send to them. And so it was the next weekend. We were out and we were trimming and we were cutting, and then I took pictures of the final product. Of concern in the report that we could see on the photos was this camellium that had grown fairly large. It was original to the property, and this dogwood tree, which, you know, had grown up and was overhanging the roof. And so we did some serious trimming on both of those bushes, trees, which was, you know, now it's no longer touching or overhanging the house. I hated to lose those, but, you know, I didn't have to take up the whole thing. A tree that we had planted and had grown fairly large was this thundering plum, and the branches like to break, and there was a branch that was hanging on the corner. Then on the other side was this redwood tree that, man, I remember when I planted that thing, 15 years ago. It was only 6 feet tall, and now it's huge. And it was overhanging the roof line as well. So I got up on the roof and I cut back all of the, you can kind of see up there where I hit those branches, and some of them were hanging on to the roof line, just barely touching, but I do get up there every year and inspect the roof to make sure that, you know, there aren't any holes or anything like that. And so I took pictures of all of the work that we did and mailed it on over to them. As instructed by the insurance company, I uploaded the photos and a brief description of the work that we did to a secure website, you know, made sure that I had the policy number on there and the address and all of the information so they could kind of track it and connect it, and, you know, explain to them the trees, the branches that we trimmed off there, all of the photos so they could easily see that none of them were touching the house. And gee, just about a week later, you know, or about 2 weeks later, got a letter in the mail dated November 20th. You know, we are writing to rescind the non-renewal letter sent to you on November 7th. So it worked, and they're communicating to my mortgage company that the homeowner's policy will be reinstated after they have viewed the corrective work that was picked up in their risk report, and they deem it good. So will the homeowner's rate stay the same? We had been paying $2,000 a year for homeowner's insurance, and that is in addition to the mandatory flood insurance that we must have because we are in a 100-year flood zone. And the quote that we did get for a similar homeowner's insurance policy was about $4,000. So, you know, who knows, maybe it will go up, but if it goes up to, you know, up to $4,000, then I'm going to say it's good, because I know people that are paying over $10,000 just for replacement of the structure, not covering any residential liability or the contents inside of it, where those people have to go and get a wraparound policy because the FAIR plan from California is just kind of covering the structure and not the contents and the liability. So I feel fairly fortunate that at least we were able to get our homeowner's insurance reinstated following the steps of requesting the report that was issued that noted all of the different issues, conditions that led to the non-renewal, and then where to send the corrective action, which we did, and then we got the letter back. So, you know, I don't know if that's going to work in all cases, because some properties in California in certain foothill locations are just kind of no-go zones for some insurance companies. But in some of the suburban areas on the ragged edge of the high wildfire danger, you know, you might be able to get it flipped back in your favor when you show them that you are doing your due diligence to make sure that your property is as safe as possible from a wildfire. So if you have any questions or comments, you may leave those down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I'm Kevin Canals, and may your homeowner's insurance always be in place.